So my name's Rick Kelly. January the 22nd of 2013, I was exercising at home when I collapsed and fell to the floor and could not get up. My wife heard me fall. She ran in the room and she saw that I was laying there, and she looked at my face and she noticed right off the bat that my mouth was drooping on the left side. And so she immediately said, "I think you're having a stroke." And I insisted I was not having a stroke. I had no risk factors for stroke. I exercised 7 days a week, at least 45 minutes. And I had a recent physicals with all green lights, no issues raised. So I just kept insisting I was not having a stroke. She called 911. I asked her to call and cancel, and she refused to call and cancel. I knew I couldn't move my left side, but I kept trying to think what could possibly have happened. And I could not get my mind around the fact that I could have had a stroke in my condition at 53 years old. And so we got in the ambulance, we came to the hospital, and they checked me out and said, "Yeah, you're having a stroke." They found in my right carotid artery, I had what's called a spontaneous dissection, where the walls, the way I understand it, the walls separate and release a blood clot. I'm really in a daze because 1 minute I was healthy, the next minute I couldn't walk. Half my body wouldn't work. I couldn't move my arm. And I can remember like it was yesterday, the first time I really started feeling more comfortable. I was laying, someplace in the hospital, and Mary, my PT, came by, and she looked down, and she just kind of had this smile that kind of said, everything's going to be all right. And it just gave me that confidence right then. And so I started working with her on the PT side. I worked with Patty on the OT side. You could tell when they worked with me that they really cared whether or not I got better or not. And we got to the point where I could walk a little bit, like feet, with a hemi walker. And when I did that, the thing that really amazed me, it was like a celebration for everybody involved. Mary, you could just see it in her face. She was just thrilled that I could make it down the hallway a little ways with this hemi walker. And Dr. Latawa, who was my doctor in the hospital, saw me from across the hallway. I'll never forget it. She goes, "Oh, this calls for a hug." And she just came running across the hall and gave me a huge hug because they just couldn't believe that I could actually walk with this hemi walker. When I left the hospital, I could get a little ways with the hemi walker, but really to get around, I had to have my wife push me in a wheelchair. And when I got out of the hospital was really good. I didn't just check out and I was done. They made sure that there was a plan for me after I got out of the hospital for my continued recovery. They sponsor a stroke survivors recovery group that meets regularly here at the hospital. And I've participated in that since I got out of the hospital, and I will always participate in that. It's a great opportunity to meet a lot of other people that are going through the same thing that you're going through. It's really hard for someone to understand who's not been through it, what it's like to be at that absolute low point in your life when you just are seeing problems that you can't imagine. To have someone that's there that gives you that lifeline, that really is, they're there with you. They're going to help you get through this and get out of this. And that was what I found at Parham Doctors Hospital. My walking's not perfect. I surely can't jog, but I walk a minimum 3 miles a day. I don't use a cane. I don't use any walking aids. My record is 10. I did 10 miles one day. I don't have to take people with me. My wife doesn't have to go with me. I just go walk. Now, to be able to do that from the condition I was in when I came in this hospital is nothing short of a miracle. One of my goals was to pick a really hard climb, something that was a tough hike, because I always loved to hike in the outdoors. And so in April of this year, we went to Peru. And I'd read a lot about Machu Picchu, which it's got steps. It's thousands of years old, really steep steps to get to the top. And I thought if I could do that I could just show once and for all that you can recover from a stroke if you just keep working and keep working. We did that. I climbed the steps to the top of Machu Picchu. 3 years before, I was in a wheelchair, and then to go from the wheelchair to be able to do that climb was, for me, just amazing. How lucky I am that this is where I was brought to this hospital. That I was brought with the people that had exactly what I was looking for. That's how I climbed the steps to the top of Machu Picchu, is through the work that they did. And they helped me, they guided me every step of the way. They were partners. That's the term I would use. They were partners in my recovery. Parham Doctors Hospital gave me my life back.